let's talk about the waning moon, okay, the decreasing moon, and protection magic. You know that at the full moon and the new moon and any lunation, um, there are people who and beings who try to, take advantage of the portal. And in a new moon, people manifest stuff. In a full moon, they may try to take down stuff. And so if you are protecting yourself, okay, protecting your energy, you might wake up with a feeling of dryness in your eyes if somebody tried to place misjustice upon you. Okay, that's something I learned during the pre-Me Too days, because I was talking about the cult. So, first of all, why would they do that? Because I think that is a key a thing to understand structure. You probably have been seeing a lot of people, whether it's tarot reader, energy readers, a lot of things being dedicated to sending evil eye back, and it may look kind of funny, okay? Because for most of us, we just do us, okay? We just, what you came here to do is what you came here to do. It's not like you can do, it's not like you can not do what you came here to do and not be continuously nudged by every aspect of your life, especially your health, to do what you came here to do. Okay? There's just no, it's not gonna go. If you're on a track where it's not something that along the lines of something you're meant to do, then you're gonna get a nudge for the universe. You're gonna get sick, or you meant to do what you meant to do, and the path you take is exhausting you. So to stay on your path, you're gonna get nudged again. That means you might get sick if you're overworked. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to change path, but perhaps to change for how you do things. A lot of people that, let's say, have been healers or holistic healers are people for whom none of the things that they did in usual medicine worked for them. Okay, so they had to come up with their own medicine. I think no astrologer was sent to be doing what they're doing with their particular type of astrology without some kind of nudge, okay, from the universe. And so sometimes these nudges are in your favor, and then there are those who would try to play nudges not in your favor. So let's talk about the secret societies and Masons. Their structure, first of all, it's global. Doesn't matter where you're coming from. Their structure is such that upon joining, and many people are expected to because they're lineage. Okay, if you're lineage, you're going to go through some sort of initiation, whether you're in the cult or outside of the cult. But a lot of people, upon joining, they make oaths, and these oaths include cursing. And these curses are not just if you leave the Masonry, if you disclose secrets. It's also simply curses. It's a death cult. So people are cursed with various problems in their family. Main issues are to do with birthing. So if what you came here to do has anything to do along the lines of fertility, okay, and it doesn't matter where from, you could be a nurse, okay. I know people that have, I knew someone that is working on integrating, like being natural doula and being kind of like a nurse, and that's to do with fertility. And she's also doing like trying to be a mother for someone, like to have a baby for someone. I had holistic a health teacher that she was beginning to work on fertility issues pre-COVID, and then during COVID she was targeted and made to betray me. Okay, that is this Shatini Sarudi. So she was targeted by MK Ultra, by the Masons, made to betray me. And I came to her also to heal my menstruation issues that I had during academia, unusual menstruation issues that were very likely coming from either somebody having planets in my 6th house, which was what I interpreted, or downright curse. When I went to psychologist, it was also Mason. I experienced really dumb fuckery stuff that made me stop. Okay, just take a step back when it came to my menstruation, to my womb, and the psychic attack, the intense attack. This is basically the MK Ultra stuff. We're aiming at my womb. During the human ritual sacrifice, there was aiming at the breasts, at the womb, at the fertility of people. Same with men, genitalia mutilation. Okay, all these things, they are aimed at the birthing experience to create trauma, because trauma keeps people mind controlled. It's very simply put. Now, what is Masonry? Masonry is simply building. It's architecture. That's it is. And for architecture, okay, so you need politics, you need economy, you need the structure of architecture itself, you need a construction, you need real estate agents, you need astrology for how to create what, okay? And this is, I will talk to Ksenia more, because she did a housing. Which house will you live with? You'll need astrocartography, okay? If you're doing any one of these professions, it doesn't matter if you're within the cult or outside of the cult, astrological magic, okay? Any profession, even if you're doing a manicure, because all is tied into that. And basically, this is where you would feel the MK Ultra. There is tremendous attempts to control you. So from the Kundalini, from the life energy, from the birthing, there would be these curses, and they can be about problems with your relationships, with your family, all these things, betrayal from within, like really, really horrid stuff. They make it very, very challenging to be a happy person. And you know that our structures of Masonry, it's so important. If you go to Ayurveda, to Indian medicine, this is so freaking important. You would have, there are days where you cannot begin to construct the buildings. There are fests where you're supposed to do, there's elections, there's the how you're doing that, there's the holiday, there's the fest of the ritual. There's to taking a look at the soul of which place you begin to construct. There's the Vastu, which is how you arrange this space, kind of like a feng shui, and that's connected with the astrology. So you understand, and there's the matchmaking, okay? So you understand that infiltration of those simply means a society that is mind controlled. This is why in every generation Masonry is continuously targeted. So we have to give also the gift of grace. It's not that the secret societies or the Masons are inherently coming to do something bad. It's just that in terms of resources, they're so susceptible to mind control and to slavery, that this is the end result. Okay, they end up being a cult and end up persecuting people. So this is the why, okay? And to get to higher ranks, they have to commit various forms of curses and crimes. So that is the why. The why you see, the secret society been sitting there, the secret society, and they target the sexual energy. So unfortunately, those are really horrific stuff. And And you have every right to protect yourself against that. So this is what you would feel, that in the body trying to cause you injustice. You came here to do what you came here to do. Okay, there's just no two way to it. If you've been wronged, you've came here to expose that, to stay in the body. You need to speak up. And you need to speak up publicly. If it's Kundalini energy and it has to do with a covenant, so this is outer planet to inner planet, the exposure is public. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to come out of your body the minute you decide to heal, especially if you had anything stuck, okay, whether it's a tumor, or whether it's a fungal infection, whether it's a virus, okay, something undetectable. So you're going to do your health regime, and then you're going to begin to speak, and it's going to almost be compulsive because you need to heal. You just came here to do what you can. It can't take you down, okay? And sometimes for you, you might feel like, hey, why didn't I even die yet? And it's like you came here to do what you came here to do. We are ushering now 300 years from Dark Ages to Golden Ages, which means a lot of, it's a lot of the things are going to be purged, and there's symbolism astrologically. It's very protective of the outer planets, okay, the bisextile of Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. So a lot is going to be purged. We're not going to do religion the way we did that. We're not going to do secret societies the way we did. We're not going to do masonry the way we did that. And a lot of the control of millennia's old cults, and rituals is going to be, we're going to have to let that go, because humanity is moving elsewhere, okay? And I remind you of the Malawi story of the lizards. The one lizard was sent to tell humanity you are doomed. So humanity, you are saved. And that lizard was slow. And then another lizard was sent to tell humanity you are doomed. And that lizard was quicker. And the thing is, it's kind of like a symbolism of how on the short term, it very much looks like we're doomed. Okay, there are world wars, there's hunger, all the corruption is exposed. On the long term, we are purging that. And so this purging is actually the saves the day. If you think about it, if your sexual energy has been hurt, if your birthing energy has been hurt, curating your moon, curating your sun is going to be assisting you, okay? And there's just no other way. Your telos is to curate that. Your telos is to curate that from your lineage or from yourself. And so build up something that's actually compatible with today. For example, very likely one of my life purposes was to make this half moons that I make in the soil and do reforestation. So I'm placed on barren land and I make this barren land fertile. Okay, there's nothing I can do about it. I can be so exhausted that I can barely brush my teeth. But when it comes to building these structures in the soil, I'm going to be building them, whether I'm in the city and whatever. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be located in the soil that wants that, would have the sudden urge to do that. And then I have a curation for my entire psyche coming up, and a purging coming up. So curation doing basically soil masonry, whether it's for the trees or for, whoever animals that are going to be sitting in those structures. And there's nothing I can do about that. I came here to do that, okay? And that facilitates containment where there wasn't containment before. Okay? Same with astrology. I came here to do these things. So right now we had this moon decreasing, and on the moon decreasing is a great time to cleanse from a lot of curses that's been sent your way. And you must understand, so it's sometimes you don't even actually endanger the life path of a person. It's just that the old structure of the secret societies was this structure where people are forced to curse other people and they can't have intimacy. And that is also part of what we're purging. If you're doing anything to do with the sun and the moon, or anything to do with eclipses, which you are, a pre-eclipse child, you curating stuff that's generational. And that can be even in a roundabout ways. I think we cannot understand Donald Trump, regardless of if we are in the blue or in the red or in none of that, without understanding that that guy's complete Hioka being president. Okay, what if Hioka, the townsfool, the one that creates a satire, would be making the decisions? And we're having this experiment, a spiritual experiment in the United States, and it's like, hey, society, are you gonna let him? Okay, how are you gonna respond to whatever he's going to do there? And if you take into account that Elon Musk is neurodivergent, immediately I have to turn some curses back to sender, just as I say that. Okay, so speaking about Lord Jesus, no weapon formed against me shall prosper in Jesus' mighty name. It's one way, and if you ask if I'm devout Christian, no, I'm not. Okay? But Christ consciousness is something nice to call upon. Okay? Together with Better Per Se. So, all injustices towards me are reversed, all curses sent towards me backfire times 7. And if you've been doing that, okay, you're gonna feel that something. Sometime you're gonna feel it in your eyes. It's like, oh, injustices was sent towards you. Why? They're covenants, and they are with the old structures where you curse people. It doesn't work. But they also practice human sacrifice. They also practice outdated things that are not compatible with the masonry of the golden ages. And I came to bring a new type of structure. And structuring things is going with the sun and the moon, but in a curated form rather than in a destructive form. Okay, so I'm using both Better Per Se, sun and moon. And so anything malefic sent towards me is immediately reversed. And there's something I came here to do. Okay, cannot not be me. And so these structures, these habits of cursing people are being transformed. Okay. And with the moon, I could say in all names of Allah, any structures that misuse people, women, birthing, moon, are immediately any ritual, human ritual sacrifice to do with breasts, fertility, genitalia, he immediately is stopped and backfires. Okay, in all names of Allah. And you see, if people using Allah's name against, because the crescent moon or the moon is Islamic, so inversion of Islam would be satanic Islam, that would hurt the very thing that actually Islam came here to protect, and that's women. Islam came to protect women, came after Christianity and after Judaism, and it came to show that all the women, regardless of their status, are you can wed them, okay, so that they will not be left uncared for. This is actually curation for the Sedna wound from the Inuit, but then it was turned and inverted into child marriages, and indeed Muhammad was marrying a 6 years old, turned into 9. So if you take it back to the Inuit, so that would be kind of like, hey, we're not going to kill this child, we're going to wed this child, but that gave us child weddings, which we still needed to curate. And that's to tell you, if Muhammad came after Jesus and after Moses, then Judaism and Christianity were doing the same thing. Okay, Muhammad wasn't making religion worse, he was making religion better. Okay, so that's just theosophy. Like, it's just understanding that, and the inversion, of course, is things that we see as terror, human sacrifice, and that is satanic, Muslim, whatever, or just dumbfuckery. Okay, but that's associated with the secret societies that, because they're Masons and doing Masonry, even if they're doing somebody's hair or they're doing cooking or whatnot, it's all associated with the Masonry. And with when do you do stuff, which is also astrology, then they are susceptible. Okay, your influencers, of course, those are the people who will be on the advertisement of which apartment to live in, whether you want to live in this 15-minute city or whether you want to live in a village. Okay, so you see, okay, whatever is sent towards you and whichever curse is used, you're going to get better with that in time. And even more specific, so you just feel intuited to clean that up. And yes, the decreasing moon is a great time to create shield, to create protection. Saturn stationing direct was an exorcism transit for me. And so this is why you would see people constantly doing that. It's not because they think negatively. For those who come from holistic professions, like, kind of like raised on the Louis Hayes of the world, or modern astrologers. Again, if you're doing anything Masonry, you're gonna have to get acquainted with the old stuff. I had a very solar generation, Pluto Sol generation astrologer, and he had a lot of real estate. Okay, had a lot of real estate at the time where real estate was in America. And people would just leave it in your real estate. Okay, that would be a house you rent to people, and they would live there, and they would be able to make a living. They might not be able to afford a house, or maybe they would live there while they're building a house. And for years and years and years, he had this real estate. Then came the house flippers, and they changed that, and he had to sell 12, 13 estates. And this is a retired man. Okay, Pluto Sols, these people are 70 something. He has 2 young children. And is living in his own household, but now what was supposed to be his retirement is backfiring, and now he has to do astrology courses all of a sudden. So we've been working with Dema Mundi, and that is something that is unexpected. And this is where you would see a very solar astrologer, very likely, because he did something with real estate, and because astrologer still having to tend to these weird curses, that during the Pluto Sol generation, it was very much a generation of we can shape our life in our own image and our own power and our intelligence. So the power of the soul, the power of our shine. This was when modern astrology and solar astrology were getting this boost, which would later lead to the New Age, to the manifestation techniques. Okay, for me, when I was doing YouTube, before I did astrology, I did manifestation techniques. Okay, like the Abraham Hicks stuff and elaborating on that. And then I saw some things take longer to manifest, because I wasn't manifesting like $1 million car. I was manifesting healing for myself. And I'm like, hey, there are very weird things happen with that, but then other things are manifested. So a lot of dedication brought me to astrology, that now brings me to talk about where the secret society send these curses. They have old structures that are crumbling. And this is why you run into that, even if you've been doing just manifestation, staying positive, focus, whatever, and you find yourself in different times, different periods in your life targeted, and it's like, what did I do? Nothing. You just live your life. Is it jealous and envious? Sometimes, and sometimes it's just covenants, and this is what they do. And very likely they know that if you ever went to take a blood test, then they know your blood type, okay? So they know what you came here to do even more than you. So they understand what is going on, and they understand that the old ways are going to be gone or going to be exposed. And perhaps you're one of that, and the more they target you, the more you have to do what you came here to do, which is to expose and to remove, okay, for all these curses from the lineage, from the moon and the sun cults, from the birthing process. Again, Caitlin Karbach's been doing Tema Mundi, which is a birthing talisman. She went through horrors during the time where she was doing that, trying to make her, whether it's about anyone around her, okay? And of course, they try very likely to make her husband betray her or stuff like that. And I'm not joking, okay? I'm not joking. Simply because she was doing birthing stuff. For me, as I was tending to my own fertility chakra before and during COVID, I was targeted so malefically. Um, and I didn't understand why the womb, why they were targeted. Like, because for as far as it came to me, I was thinking I'll probably be child free. So why, like, who cares? Okay. But I'm a walking birthing talisman. I guess my meeting with the Karbachs was very fated in that sense. And that means I'm not only birthing talisman to people. I was birthed in a situation where it's like, it was not an undesired child, to put it that way. And I knew a lot of people around me that had difficulty having children, would go through processes that facilitate their birth just naturally. Like, it was a social worker that was working with me, and just the dynamic between us was such that she had to let go, or she saw me as a daughter, she cared for me, decided to take a dog, and then suddenly she got pregnant with a girl. Okay, girl is like his teenager now, and she learned how to let go. So it was a lot of, okay, birthing a daughter and birthing a son is very different. When I was doing readings, astrological readings to people, that would be sometimes in relation to their daughters and their sons, and very challenging stories. Okay, stories like married people where the husband was threatening to slaughter the child, and the mother sees them with the knife aiming at the child, and then that child is looking after the father, and she leaves the mother. She leaves communication with the mother, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? Okay. So from a lineage perspective, you can clearly see that some mother wounds can be in action as well as father wounds, and that caused the invasion. Okay, so for perhaps the daughter to not be like the father towards the mother can cut contact. Like, many things can happen in that sense, which is very triggering for the families. And they can have to do with secret societies and covenant. Then that mother would betray me, it would basically give me the wrong channeling for what I need. And not by purpose. She would get a certain channeling, but it would not be what I need. And she would be like, let's say, totally vegan, and I actually need iron, so I have to, and it's not absorbed by the food, because to eat that vegan food, it would have to be actually organic vegan food. Not, we don't have organic food anymore, okay? And so she would feel like she's being betrayed. Like, it is like trying to help me, and I'm okay, well, I'm on the verge of death because of some weird curses. And that's, again, and this is not because everybody out to get me, it's just because came here to do something, and that is not the old way that things were done, where people were controlled and enslaved, and that's not going to go in the golden ages. Okay. And sometimes you just have to tend to things, and then people don't know how to treat you. Okay, definitely when I do cold cases, it looks like suddenly out of the blue. It is not. But to me, it was surprising. And then, of course, people look at you and they're like, they don't really know what's going on. Where is it heading? Okay, what have you been doing? Everybody fear for their own, like, solid ground. And then you came here maybe to expose stuff that are not like the old ways. So the old ways are changing. That risks reputations of lineages. People are afraid, where it's not necessarily so. Okay, you just came to change something, not to eradicate something. Um, and that can really be of tremendous challenge. Okay, when I became astrologer, when I went from being astrology enthusiast, watching this, watching that, there was a deaf tone, and I didn't understand why. But I'm like, I'm doing astrology from outside the Masons, and anybody that can read a chart understand it. With Rahu in the fourth house, associated with midheaven in the 10th house, and the astrology and Uranus at the same time with Ketu in the 10th house, that very likely came from lineage of astrologers. Okay, maybe my father, maybe my mother lineage, or something along these lines, and I came to continue them, and that has to do with Masonry. It's the ruler of the fourth is in the second, so it has to do with either real estate, and the ruler of that is in the ninth, and it's on a 22 degree, and it rules over Saturn, that rules over the 12th house of hospitals and stuff, and jails and stuff, and exile, and rules over Pluto, which literally means politics and cults. And I could be Robert Caro for, not Robert Caro, like that Moses that this Robert Caro was covering. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing laser focused masonry like Maui and stuff. So what am I doing? And it's outside of the cult. And did I come to destroy the Masons or something? And there's literally nothing. No matter how much reverence I would give to people, I would never get this acknowledgement. And you kind of feel like, kind of like the black swan of your community, until you get that they're all Masons. Okay? So but then I would get help from like invisible sources ushering me, whether it's from caring for me or because they saw that I'm meant to do that, and then sometimes trying to divert me from doing things, just trying to control that, or maybe particularly, I don't know, but these weird things that I would have to later face. And there's just no two way about it. Okay, I came to do what I came to do. I came to abolish satanic ritual abuse, to do with housing and structures, and it's not for nothing that I would be turning to Beta per se and the snake goddess, asking to abolish satanic ritual abuse, where the children would be sacrificed to the snake goddess in monasteries underground in the Middle East. And it's to do with my roots somehow, because roots in Libya and Algeria and in Netherlands, and in Ukraine. So Libya has this monastery of the snake goddess, which I had no idea about. Okay, because the more you're in contact with your, and I have asteroids like Fairbanking next to my Venus. Okay, I can, and I don't know that at the time, so I just see the reaction towards me, and I'm like, that's very weird. Why? Well, I did come to do something that ushers us to golden ages, and that's why I'm still alive, although large parts of me rebelled that for various segments of my life. I was told that also when I was, going to like regular hospital and was doing art craft. And I said, I feel like it's difficult for me to love because of all this dumb fuckery I'm dealing with. Or it's like, now it feels like it's something that I could live with. And the person who's doing art therapy is like, yes, people like you came to change the world. And I'm like, well, but when what about, just love connections, just, you know, And now it gets very clear, because if my potential love connections are with this old moon and sun cults, and I have asteroid Ubermensch, Aries, conjunct in the ruler of my 4th and 7th, it's obvious what I came here to do, and it's obvious why these people can't have healthy, happy relationship with me, even when they are my psychologist. Okay? So those are the things that I'm sharing with you, because if you're watching this video, you're probably, it's probably relevant to you. It maybe is a key to your understanding. Why so many curses? Why so many people? Is it really envy and jealousy? Sometimes, but sometimes it's downright structure. Structures are crumbling. And that is okay, and that is like, you came here to do what you came here to do. Okay, it's not that you can be cursing you won't matter. I mean, defending yourself is one thing. Defending yourself from death threats, which is a part of having a 22 retrograde Mars. I attended to political assassination prevention. I discovered that, well, it's just expandable children thingy. What's that to do? Secret society, satanic ritual abuse. What's that to do with anything? Well, it's masonry, it's structure. And what's that to do? Well, mission to control humanity and enslave humanity, that fails every time. By the way, it's never successful continuously. I mean, yeah, maybe we're not living in rural villages with giant land, but we also have, like, accessibility to the grocery store and other products. We might not be eating the best food, but we also have comfort that we didn't have sometimes, and then that's kind of like being taken away. And we have to re-emphasize things. Okay, so for example, if you're living in a apartment where you have a management in condominium for Americans, or you have a management of property, so you pay somebody, you pay a company to do things in your property. Like even right now with the tremendous crisis with the real estate agent and all this weird Masonic human trafficking shit that's been affiliated with. A neighbor calls my mom, and she like, can the guy come and fix like water leakage, and they have to fix it within. Okay, so that's the company that runs the management of the estate. It kind of like, some of the stuff I just cleaned this under the sink, and I couldn't put it back in its place correctly. It's been sitting there, and I was working with the bucket during Pluto in Aquarius, by the way. The bucket, I was cleaning that to the end of Pluto in Capricorn, and now as Pluto is in the Neretic degree of Capricorn, the Magma comes to fix that himself. All the while I'm protecting myself from his sex trafficking energy. Okay, so you see the weird shit that's been happening. Okay, and the intricacy and the complication of all these things, because like, hey, I have to sort this thing to the core down. It's not about moving to another apartment, it's solving the problem here. So that one happened on this property and in this city. Okay, that's very simply put. And I would physically not be able to do anything about. Now, of course, Mars, ruler of real estate, opposing Pluto, is not a time to sign new contracts. This is where you want to be. If you are in between locations, you want to be in between locations. Before I moved to that estate, there was an election. It was an astrological election, great astrological election. There's still problems with this election, and that's just, my housing's to do with Mercury. But that was a very good election in April, just 6 April back then, to move into the estate. Before that, there was no election to move. I was in between houses. Okay. And Saturn was still in my 12th house. So I was guided, I was ushered into that. And what I came here to do is basically to transform those lines where real estates were used to human trafficking and destroy the dumb fuckery. Okay, so, and have all the assistance possible, get all the talismans in the world, all the assistance possible, but also the crisis, and I also have the challenges that I'm dealing with, um, and no, dealing with sex assaults in the astrals and beating that is not easy, and sending death magic back to sender is not easy. But if you understand, if they do such dumb fuckery, that would be mercy killing. And learning how these things work is not easy. Okay, I give reverence to indigenous societies and black people, African people. I also have African, North African roots, but and Elon Musk is also African, but he was born in South Africa. But to black people particularly, for emphasizing the fact that those who had slaves, which by the way were also black people having white slaves. Okay, so those who had slaves, they made it not good to do certain types of protective magic while they were practicing that against their slaves. So if you're doing anything masonry, death magic against those who send curses to you is something that you're gonna have to get acquainted with. Okay, because the only pills to recover from sexual boundary violation are 9 millimeters. It works better in Hebrew. The word for pill is kadul, which is the same word for a bullet. Okay, so that dumb fucker is not gonna go. These initiation rituals of men raping men, by the way, before they rape women, they rape men. It's just they don't talk about this. Or slavery based internal family unit, which is domestic violence, and those are your masons, the builders of your structures. That's not golden. It's not given golden ages. It's given dark ages, and that dumb fucker is to be purged. So you see a lot of curse, a lot of work against people who came here to do the sacred work of ushering us to golden ages. And if you're one of them, you may have been like trying to it's like, why am I not dead? Why did I come to live in this? No, you didn't. You came to change this world. Okay, and tend to the relevant cold cases. If for example people would be murdering the residents in order to build a house and then build a city, Robert Caro or Nafo or WEF, then that's dark ages. Okay, it's not given golden ages. So tending to the genuine engineering challenges, and to the humanity enslavement challenges, because it's kind of like you're meant to enslave humanity as far as the old Masons go, but you're meant to usher golden age as far as the new Masons go. And it's very difficult to tell which is which. Okay, if I think about Mark Rutte, I know Vamsha has the same ascendant. Okay, it's a completely different chart, but Mark Rutte is about to have his Saturn return now. Then he's been living alone in the Netherlands, solitary man in The Hague in a simple apartment. Okay, if I think about Elon Musk, people say we should tax Elon Musk. Like, you don't scare Elon Musk. Okay, it's not about the taxation. It's not about the money. He lives in, like, that guy would sit under the stars and see boobs in mountains. Okay, bloopers. That which try to mind controls you. I'm not saying become mind controlled by it, because I'm not here to mind control anybody, but it's like, hey, you're exposed to that. That guy would sit under the stars outside and look at the mountains and see boobs. That's Elon Musk. That's the simplicity of it. That's what you have there. It's not about like the huge mansion or the huge this or the huge that. It's the simple life. You don't scare him with your taxation. But he's building a colony on Mars. He came to do that. And And so you see that he's very much entrapped with plans to enslave humanity, where his ideas has nothing to do with that. It's like this Tesla running on, could be running on solar, and things that kind of like, you know, just grand ideas about technology, and developing it, and wanted to have a colony on Mars. And then he's kind of like, he coming from slave society, so it's like, oh, who will work there? Well, slaves can develop that because that's what they did. Okay, there's no other lineage, and he's forced to do that. And of course, entrapped with all the dumb fuckery of the cults, and the incest-based cults, and clone-based cults, and horrors that entails, which we call peterings. Um, so that's just Masons being Masons. Um, and then you see how these people that are like not at all, that they're constrained with Dark Ages plans, but they came to usher Golden Ages even through conflict. Definitely a person, this is the last taboo in Netherlands, is for a solitary person to live alone, came to change something in our real estate perception, because you need to be having your own space, okay? And apartments are not big in Netherlands. And certainly a person, they came to build a colony on Mars, but as far as he's concerned, like, give him a tent on the hills, and to see mountains, and think of boobs, that like that's fine, okay? That's totally fine. And these people, they're ushering the transition, okay, to Golden Ages. And having solitary housing is something that you need in order to have good space and curate for a lot of the issues that have been happening, okay, domestically. And yet you see these people, one is slave colony on Mars, that's Elon, and Mole X, which is, the right hand to Donald Trump right now. And by the way, congrats for like the new role. And the other is head of NAVO, with NATO, which is Global Armed Forces, that been ruining real estate with laser. It's before Rutte, but like he's not expected to discontinue that. Let's just put it that way. And agenda contributor to the WEF, World Economic Forum. But one of the things about Rutte, he was inspired by Robert Caro, and about going up the rank from unelected roles, and he was prime minister of Netherlands for millennia.